Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. I'm going to break it down to you right now what's going on with Diddy. He got 8 new details that we're going to share with you about his life inside and, in the violent New York City jail that he's scared to be in and he want to go out to Newark now. If you subscribe, hit the notification button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification button. The like button is a must, and you already know the Cash App is up there. Hit the icon, make sure it say it was created in 2020, cop the book of Ron Harlan, all that crap. All right? All right, you know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio, man. We're going to play this video. I found a video on law and crime that I think is fire. It give a lot of good information. It keep us updated. And I'm going to break it down so that, our people can understand. No disrespect to them. And we're not dealing with a race. None of that. We speak a different dialogue. So I'm going to break our dialogue down to you. Now let's get this thing started. See what they saying about old 54-year-old P. Diddy.
54-year-old Sean P. Diddy Combs is entering his 4th week behind bars, being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. It's a far cry from his lavish life and mansions in Miami and Los Angeles, but ironically, it was the evidence collected at those mansions that put Diddy in jail in the first place. Back in March, federal investigators raided Diddy's homes in Florida and California, collecting evidence in the federal case against him. We now have a better idea about what investigators were collecting, including multiple AR-15 rifles with the serial numbers removed, a drum magazine, and illegal drugs.
Remember that. All those high-powered rifles and guns and assault rifles that they found up in there. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Hold on right now.
But Diddy doesn't face any charges for possession of those items. Instead, it was the electronic evidence that led to Diddy's charges. On September 16th.
All right, so we know on September 16th they ran up on him, right? Check it. This is what they're doing so y'all understand. He got busted with a bunch of guns. The guns alone carry the same thing as, the RICO S trafficking. They both carry a minimum of 20 years. The assault rifles with the numbers scraped off carries 20 years. The ex-trafficking carried 20 years. They can run them in the courtroom right now and bang them in the head for the guns alone and leave the ex-trafficking alone. But what they trying to do is they trying to put that out there for the distraction so y'all don't pay attention to the election. Y'all don't pay attention to nothing that's going on. Just talk about Diddy, talk about their ex-tapes. That's all they want y'all to do right now. So they're dictating this play. This is a football game, right? Let's ride. This is a football game. They're dictating the play by they throwing a pass, which is the Diddy indictment. And they're going to start leaking some videos and things like that. And we're going to get so consumed and engulfed in it, during this time that we're not going to pay attention to what's happening in like less than a month. Right now, they're going to have the biggest election of our time, and we're going to be up here talking about P. Diddy. Figure that out. But we're going to get back to it. But they could just charge it with the guns, bottom line, to speed it up where I was at with my ride. They could charge it with the guns, give him the same 20 years that he's looking at getting right now for the ex-trafficking. But the ex-trafficking, we know it's a whole lot of evidence, going to take a whole lot of time, and they're going to do a whole bunch of new superseding indictments. That first indictment was just a shell, something to hold them because somebody up above said we need something to focus their people's time and energy on other than this election. So they said, I don't care what you do, you put out an indictment. So what they did was they put out an indictment to take him off the street to cause this hoopla. Now they got that going on. We all watching that. Nobody know what Candace Owens and Kamala Harris got going on in the background because the homie filled me in on that today. You don't even know what I'm talking about. But that's the point. They don't want you to know what I'm talking about. But I might bring it up later. But that's where we at right now. So instead of them getting them for the easy joint, which is the guns, put them away for 20 years, then they got 7, 8 years to sit there and go through bringing them back on the S charge RICO indictment. But they don't want to do that. They want the scandal. They got the scandal. We all eating off it. We all enjoying it, and we all learning from it. Because I'm hoping y'all are learning something here at Unique Mecca Audio. Let's finish this joint.
He was indicted by a federal grand jury on charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. A main topic discussed in this indictment was freak-offs, described as elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. And the government alleges these freak-offs were not consensual. The indictment lays out a pattern of abuse that Diddy would often follow. Drugging.
Hold up. Do y'all think that the male and females, the participant of the freak-offs, was consensual or no? Did he tie him up and bring him there? I don't know. Let's watch this and see how it plays out.
Or forcing the victims to drink alcohol that was oftentimes laced with something, sexually assaulting these victims, and then forcing them to have sex with a prostitute. Now, the feds say they have evidence of these freak-offs because Diddy often recorded them. Investigators apparently have dozens of freak-off videos and collected more than 100 cell phones, laptops, cloud storage accounts, and storage devices. They allege Diddy used the sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he made during the freak-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. So
See, that's a form of extortion.
these same recordings that were once used to keep victims quiet are now being used to prosecute Diddy in a sex trafficking scheme that goes back decades. The allegations against Diddy go back a while too, with survivors reporting abuse as far back as 1991. Last November, Cassandra Ventura, Diddy's ex, filed civil suit against him, citing years of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse during their relationship. Cassie mentioned the freak-offs, saying Diddy recorded them and used them to keep her quiet. After that, a dozen more civil suits were filed against Diddy, and they all followed the same pattern, alleging he drugged the victims, assaulted them, and recorded it. These lawsuits paved the way for Diddy's indictment and arrest, and there's actually more on the way. Weeks after Diddy's arrest, Houston-based attorney Tony Busby revealed he's planning to file 120 new civil lawsuits against Diddy with even more shocking allegations.
Hey, yo, this dude, Tony Busby, said he's going to charge Diddy with over 100, I think they said 20, new allegations. Where did he have time to make money? He must got a lot of energy. If he assaulted this 120 women, I'm just trying to figure it out here. We're figuring this out together. If he assaulted these 120 women, right? And then the ones that he didn't assault, he must got more than 24 hours in a day. Because they just don't add up. How you could have that much time to do that and then still become a billionaire? If somebody understand that, please put in the comments, because I am very confused right now. And I'm trying to understand this because, you know, Tony Busby's really, let's see what's going on with this, y'all. I'm just saying, I'm just asking because I want to know, you know? So y'all put it in the comments. All right?
These lawsuits will apparently include allegations of child sex abuse, too. In one case, a kid as young as 9 years old. The lawsuits are also expected to reveal at least one high-profile name that was involved in Diddy's scheme and participated in the freak-offs. But for now, Diddy remains the only one charged in the case, and that's what led him to MDC in Brooklyn. If you're watching this video, you're a fan of law and crime, and I know that means you're all go.
Now, we're not going to sit here playing this little game about, you know, like, it just don't make any sense to me, but we're trying to figure out how to get this thing moving, man, you know? But let's get back to Diddy and this, you know, stuff going on over here, you know?
Offered a pretty sizable bail package, too, saying that Diddy would put up $50 million for his release. This would have been co-signed by Diddy, his sister, his mom, his 3 adult sons, and the mothers of 2 of his children. The defense also suggested Diddy would have major restrictions on travel, a GPS monitor, and even limitations.
Yo, right now, Diddy need to dig up the man behind him, Johnny Cochran, because that's a part of the dream team. I'm getting ready to air video tomorrow on his new lawyers. He got a death penalty lawyer. He got a appeal specialist lawyer. I'm gonna explain to you why he got all them, a forensic lawyer. Got all of that, going on. So y'all just sit back, and tomorrow we're gonna break that down. All right.
On female visitors. This was presented to Judge Andrew L. Carter, who denied Diddy's bid for release. He argued the bail package was insufficient to guarantee the safety of the community or to maintain the integrity of the case.
Now check it out, right? I say Diddy straight violated and disrespected the government and the court by even offering them $50 lousy million when he gave Cassie allegedly over $100 million. And you only want to pay $50 million for your freedom and coming at me, the government, like I'm a crackhead? Do you know who you talking to? Do you think I'm one of those guys making a bang? You might as well send me out to Junior's to get cheesecake, offering me $50 lousy million when you just gave away 100. If I take that 50 million, right? This is what the government is saying. Let's ride. This is what the government is saying. If I take that 50 million, right? That money is supposed to secure that you will come back to court. You just gave up $100 million to silence a woman. Like it was nothing. And now you walk into my courtroom and you offer me $50 million for your freedom? You're definitely not coming back for that $50 million if you just gave her $100 million. That's why I say, Diddy, this is what you got to do. That's right. Diddy, this is what you got to do, bro. Stop playing games. Stop being cheap. All those masters that they're accusing you of allegedly taking everybody's publishing and all that you own, take that bag, put up at least $500 million because they say you worth $1 million. Tell them I give you half of everything I got. I need the other half for my kids to still survive. I'll put up the $500 million that I'm coming back. Now they might listen to you. Even they're going to tell you, nah, give me the whole billion. And then you got to work them down to 750. You know what I mean? But that's where it's at. Yo, he's in a whole nother league right now, Diddy. You've been running in jet setting in your private jets and yachts, buying out bars like it's nothing. And now you're locked up and you don't want to buy your own black ass from behind those bars. And you disrespect the court by only offering 50 lousy million. The prosecutor's saying, I wiped my with 50 million that I took from other billionaires that was smart enough to not disrespect us and offer the government 50 million, right? That's like him offering $5,000. You know what I mean? What is that going to do to your billion? Show me that you're going to come back. You're not coming back for 50 when you gave this woman. Let's get back to this tape. I'm getting angry here, even thinking about Diddy disrespecting them like that after they had me against the rope, fighting me. And now you playing them like that, not knowing what you up against? You made it to the top, and you don't know what you're up against in a simple fight in a courtroom, my dude? What world was you living in? Oh, Diddy land. My bad.
Before that, Magistrate Judge Robin Tarnowski also denied Diddy bail, highlighting his apparent anger issues and history of substance abuse. She also voiced concern about a danger to the community or witness tampering should Diddy be released. But just this week, Judge Arun Subramanian was assigned to Diddy's case. Subramanian was nominated by President Joe Biden in 2022 and took the bench in 2023. Before that, he was a law clerk for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Subramanian's no stranger to high-profile cases either. He's also overseeing the Department of Justice antitrust case against Ticketmaster.
That judge that he just got might be the best thing that happened in this thing. You heard what they said? Joe Biden appointed him. You understand what I'm saying? And that means that, as they say in the political world, he's a liberal, which means compassionate, in so many words. Now, and he was a law clerk for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So that means he knows constitutional law. So now that means that this case will be decided legally if the lawyers know how to play it right and push constitutional law instead of fighting the evidence. You understand? And let's see how this thing play out. You got where I'm coming from,
That's the
right?
case where the government alleges Ticketmaster has an unlawful monopoly on the market. That really came to light after the site crashed in 2022 when Taylor Swift fans rushed to get concert tickets. But back to P. Diddy. His team will make a third bid for release, this time to Judge Subramanian. In the meantime, he's still behind bars at MDC Brooklyn, and according to Diddy's legal team, the jail is notoriously dangerous and run down. Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, argues there are major issues with the jail, citing violence, poor conditions, overcrowding, and even staffing issues.
Yo, dog, what is this lawyer talking about? That's what prison is. They're violent, they're overcrowded, and there's diseases in there. That's prison, my dude. When you violate the laws of the land, you go to prison, and it's bad in prison, Mr. Attorney. I did 26 years in there for violating the law, and I'm not mad at anyone for putting me in there because I violated the law. So let's stop this whining about the jail is violent because they're all violent. Stop it. Let's move forward.
He also cited some startling statistics. 2 inmates have been killed at MDC since June, and at least 4 inmates have died by suicide over the past 3 years. On top of that, 6 staff members have been charged with crimes over the past 5 years. When Diddy was first arrested, he was placed on suicide watch, which, according to the DOJ's National Institute of Corrections, is, quote, supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's since been taken off suicide watch, but is still being housed in a protective care unit, actually the same one as Sam Bankman-Fried. Bankman-Fried was convicted of fraud and money laundering last November after the collapse of his cryptocurrency exchange, FTX. They're both in a separate section of MDC. That's a unit for inmates who require special protection. That's people like Diddy or Bankman-Fried who are high-profile inmates, but it also cares for other inmates who need protection as they assist in ongoing investigations in open cases. Now, according to some reports, Diddy has a few privileges that other inmates lack, including access to daily showers and slightly better food. In his nearly month-long stay at MDC, Diddy has had phone conversations with his children and even an in-person visit from his family. To take a deeper dive into Diddy's life behind bars and the likelihood that he'll soon be released, we're sitting down with attorney Randy Kessler. I mean, P. Diddy has been in the spotlight for decades. He's obviously got a pretty big bank account, living in mansions in multiple cities, and that's what he's used to. And all of a sudden, he's in a prison that's being described as deplorable. I mean, just that unto itself, is that a major change?
Of course, the bigger they come, the harder they fall. And I sort of think that's what the prurient interest of the public is. You know, Jail is terrible for anybody, but for someone who's used to having people wait on them hand and foot and never stands in line and always, gets front row and gets the best table and gets to have the exact opposite, what a life-changing moment. I mean, it's just incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty. When you have this much evidence and so much stuff out there, does that affect the judge's decision whether to grant bond or not? You can't think as a human being the judge isn't thinking that some people are more likely to be guilty than others. But the system says you're innocent until proven guilty, and it's sort of a shame that he's in jail. And what if he's vindicated? What if he's acquitted? Then how do you ever give him back those few months of incarceration? Just a lot of things going on here.
See, he just said some real deep stuff right there, right? That's what I'm dealing with. And that's what I was saying before he got indicted. I said, everybody, let the process play out. He's innocent and proven guilty. Don't abandon him because he's a billionaire, he's Diddy, he did things. Everybody did the horrendous things. I repented for mines and I served my debt to society for mines. Now he has to do the same if he's found guilty by the system with a jury of his peers. But let that process play out the same as you would with anyone else. With anyone else. Now, them denying him bail when, we see some high profile names that didn't even get bail that got money to flee and do all of that too. But it is what it is. Welcome to the world. All right, the real world. Let's keep it moving.
Let's talk about that bail because it was denied twice. So Diddy has been in jail for almost a month now at this point, 3 to 4 weeks. That's quite a long time and quite a far cry from what he's used to. But that bail denial, both of the judges mentioned that he has some major resources.
Yo, that's the Diddy that we used to seeing. Look at the entourage behind him and how important he is. And now he's sitting in a jail cell, locked in 23 hours a day, left to his own thoughts, left to his own prior evil deeds, left to his old prior positive deeds. You think he did more positive deeds or evil deeds? Because one is going to win the battle of taking over his mind while he's confined in that cell, the same as I'm confined in this box you're looking at me in. Your thoughts can't escape, so they're just going to bang at you. You know what I mean? They're going to sound like nothing but gunshots going off, where they have him on standard suicide watch because they anticipate him going off from his evil deeds and positive deeds, trying to take over his mindset, and they presume, just like many watching this presume, he have more evil deeds. So they're going to drive him crazy for 23 hours a day. They're not even going to give him an hour off. Because all this that he did, the fast life page for 3 decades, all up here. And now your physical is trapped where all you have is up here to keep your mind and your heart going because you can't move or take your mind off it. And that's why we work out in prison, to stop the demons. We get the demons off our backs when we do our push-ups and our pull-ups and our dips and we run around the track. That's what you're supposed to do for that hour, and that hour is supposed to last you for the 23 hours that you locked in until you can get your next hour. Welcome to my world. I survived that world. A lot of my comrades survived that world. Now we're going to sit and watch if Diddy's going to survive that world. We see the young man in Atlanta, Young Thug, entering that world, ready for whatever the verdict is, him and his co-defendants. You don't even hear their names. But they're just as important too because they're fighting for their lives. But let's get back to this. I'm about to get a little deep and emotional right now.
That he could flee because he has the money, access to private jets, things like that. Do you think that's a valid argument that these judges are making, that he could just flee and run away?
I mean, it's a legitimate concern. No judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day. Oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes, and sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor that if you had money to afford $250 a month for the process and the technical details, you could do that. And I can't imagine there wasn't some extreme, unique situation where they could pay for private security guards to monitor, to report. It's just interesting to me that with all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone. So
All right, stop. See what he just said right there. Let me tell you, because we're going to ride. We like to ride at the Mecca. Check right. I'm going to tell you about Delroy Edwards, or as they call him, Delroy Uzi Edwards, right? He's in ADX. I was in ADX with Delroy, and I saw Delroy, and Delroy said, man, when I went to trial, I ain't say nothing. I wouldn't talk to the blood clot prosecutor. Them. Me not talk to the Babylon. Me not chat to them. Me not say nothing to them. Nothing. You know? So I looked at his PSI and I said, yo, dog, they got it down that you got all these millions and they charging you $1,700 a month to be incarcerated. He said, where y'all chat about, unique? Where y'all chat about? I said, look at the indictment. They charging you restitution of $1,700 a month for you to pay for your own incarceration because, like you said, when you went to trial, you don't say nothing. You don't say nothing. So you never challenged it. So y'all said them I take $1,700 out of my month every month. I said, all right. Them I rape you. Him said, no. So he talked to the case manager. Case manager told him I was right. So that's what they saying. Diddy got all this money. When they lock Diddy up, they gonna give Diddy a fee. They might charge Diddy $5,000-$10,000, you know what I mean, a month for his incarceration because that's, they're paying a percentage every month for every inmate. They pay, I think they say like $200 or something a day to keep every inmate. Add that up times 30. You know what I mean? Add that up times 30. And that's what they was paying a month to house an inmate. And now they're talking about when you have money charging you for your stay while they incarcerate you where you don't want to be. And then they offer you a job while they charging you that and tell you must work for 17 cents an hour. You see how this thing works? Welcome to my world. Let's go. I'm trying to prevent y'all from going there by letting y'all know the real. So if y'all want to go there, feel free to go there. My cell is still available. All right. And you meet really good characters too, like I did.
Maybe some solution where his money could help us craft. I mean, he could build his separate jail cell, and we could keep him there. Just interesting to me that they sort of said, nope, you're going to be treated not like everybody else, but a lot like everybody else. Just having money doesn't do it. So I wouldn't want to be those judges. There's sort of a no-win situation for the judge, and it sounds like they're erring on the side of caution. We're going to do what we would do for anybody else, which is keep him incarcerated for fear he flees, and then it's on us. This guilty person who may, or this potentially guilty person, gets to go on and live their life because the judge let them have bond. It flips from he's the bad person to now the judge made a mistake. Mm-hmm. That's what judges don't want.
Just to play devil's advocate for a second, if we're going back in the timeline of Diddy, there were federal raids performed on his home back in March. So obviously he knew about it then. He could infer, okay, they're going to investigate something. And speaking with his legal team, he again could infer charges could be coming down the line. So if Diddy was going to run, he had all the time in the world, 6 months between those raids and then when he was indicted, to run. I mean, is that something that his defense could highlight and say, hey, he could have left but didn't?
I think you should practice law because that's an excellent argument. I think it's a 100% correct argument, which is he had the opportunity to flee, except that sometimes people don't think rationally. Some people that are in power often think, I can get away with this, and then when they finally realize they can't get away with it is when they try to look at other options. So yes, it's a good argument that he had all the time in the world to try to get away. If he knew this was coming, he should have seen it, and he didn't run. That's taking the approach that we're going to trust people. And unfortunately, not everybody trusts people, and he's going to be locked up until they decide on whether he's guilty or innocent or takes a plea. But yes, that's the argument I'd be making if I was his defense lawyer.
And he's a smart dude, right? Let me bring this over here, right? I want to take it to the jail cell. Yeah, check. He's a smart dude. I don't even know that guy that was just talking, but he's smart because he hit it on the nose, right? Because we're going to ride right now. You see, I'm giving you multiple shows in one. Look at the scenery in the background. Look at the Cash App on the screen. Make sure you hit the icon and see what's created in 2020. That's what helped to build this. Y'all blessing me. And let me give you a round of applause for your appreciation. All right. Relax, y'all. Relax. Now, check, right? When I was locked up in Virginia Beach, I had at least 3 opportunities to boogie. And each time, like this intelligent man just said, I figured, I got the money. You're one of the biggest lawyers from New York down here. There's no way I'm gonna lose. The case is weak. They don't have nothing against me. They don't even have 3 drug charges. And I'm weighing out all these options how my money could win this trial. And I had 3 chances to leave that I will speak on individually in separate, you know, content creation for the channel, which would be a prison story. I might give you all those prison stories. You want to know about those 3 chances I had to leave, you know? And me and my dumb black ass decided not to go. You know what I mean? Just keeping it 100, gunshots to me. You know, because I thought my money could get me out of it, like this dude just said. Diddy right now feeling he could beat it, especially he met this new white dude that gave him the lawyer, Shapiro, that got him comfortable in the jail. I spoke on that on the joint with his lawyer. You're going to see that tomorrow, and you'll see this tomorrow, tonight, depends if they make it limited. But that's where we at. I want to give this European his props, and I'm coming back over here so that y'all could see what's going on and how we run the system that y'all so graciously help me get with your donations that I appreciate.
You know, what are you afraid of? He could have left 100 times and he didn't. And he will give you any safeguards you want. And he'll pay for the safeguards. Even though he shouldn't have to, he'll pay whatever it takes so that he doesn't have to be in jail because he's innocent right now.
His defense team did bring a interesting bail package, kind of what you're talking about, a GPS monitor so that people could know where he was, a restriction on the people who could come visit him, specifically women. A lot of people were going to co-sign on this, and it was going to be $50 million. And this was denied 2 times.
Mm.
But now there may be a win for Diddy, potentially, that a new judge has been assigned to the case. Do you think it's possible now that this new judge reconsiders and takes the defense up on this giant bail package?
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens. And maybe this new judge has a broader view and says, you know what? If he's willing to part, and again, I don't think the money's the issue. $50 million is a high bond, but it's not a question of how bad was the crime. The bond issue is what is the likelihood that this person would avoid trial and skip town and forfeit their bond? Most people would rather go to trial than give up $100,000. But he apparently has the money and the wherewithal to say, if there's a chance I'm going to jail for the rest of my life, they can keep the $50 million. I'm going to some country where they can't extradite me. So the amount of money is really not as telling as the fact that all these other accommodations, they can't find one that secures the judge in his mind or her mind that, okay, he's not going to be able to leave town with those restrictions in place. I'm comfortable. But, at least the lawyers know what's been turned down before and they're getting another crack at it. You never know.
So we talked about the potential for bail, and we'll see if this new judge actually allows that. But for now, Diddy is behind bars at MDC, this Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And his team has brought up some concerns about this place. I mean, by all accounts, it's not a great place to be. Not that any jail is, but the conditions sound a little bit worse than maybe other jails out there. Do you think if he isn't granted bail, his team could still say, hey, let's transfer him to a new one ahead of the trial?
They're going to try everything. They're going to try to transfer him. They're going to try to get him out. You know, in a normal case where it's a high profile person or a well funded person, the prosecution and the judge is a little bit more concerned about wrongful prosecution because people that are mad that they're being arrested for a crime they didn't commit can turn around and file for malicious prosecution. It sounds like there's enough evidence there that they can argue with a straight face that we had a basis to go forward, right? There's so many people coming out of the woodwork that no one's going to say that they were malicious about this. They went after him without any evidence, without any basis for it whatsoever. Um, but certainly there are things that can be done, but the truth is every jail is bad and some jails are worse than others. And the problem again is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out in the end. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail is not your first argument. That's sort of the everything else failed. Judge, let me at least earn my keep and get something better for my client than this horrible place that he's in. And they are going to be saying it over and over and over. Innocent till proven guilty. You're putting an innocent man not just in jail, but in a place that's not just a holding place. It's a place that's terrible, especially for him or for anybody.
Right now, Diddy is in a protective care unit of this jail because he is a high profile name. What do you think, though? If he was moved to general population, would he actually be at any sort of risk?
There's no way they can't move him to general population. And would he be at risk? Sure, he'd be at risk. There's so many people that have nothing to lose, right? They're going to be in jail the rest of their life. They've got nothing to. They want their 15 minutes of fame. They were friends with Diddy, or they hurt Diddy, or they killed Diddy, or they did. I mean, there's so many, you know, people in jail that would this would be their moment. You can't put them there. Plus, do you want to be the judge that makes the decision, or the prosecutor that makes the decision, or the law enforcement officer, or the warden that makes the decision to move him out of isolation and into a unit where there are other people, and then something bad happens? Can you spell lawsuit? I mean, that person, aside from all the public anger and anxiety, I mean, clearly there'd be a lawsuit against the person for doing that.
All right. Let me give you one, right? Because I feel like riding. Let me get a little prison story. We're gonna take a ride with a prison story, right? Now, he's talking about lawsuit for moving dude from one spot to another. You don't get to pick the spot that you want to go. What I predict that they're going to do, and you can mark my words on this, they're going to move Diddy from MDC, not even send him to Newark, because they know that's another rough joint. You know what I mean? Because you got men out there from the street, real men. So they're not going to put him in either one. They're going to move him like to Westchester, up by Long Island, to one of those little holdover jails where it's less people, less chaos, and less chances of anything happening. And those really are the places that anything can happen. Remember that. Those are the places that anything can happen. But they're going to move them. And they're going to move them to like upstate New York somewhere or something like that. You know, watch what I tell you. I already been through this crap. I know how they do it. You know, it's just pathetic. You know, the game is weak.
They'd have to defend themselves, even if they win. Lawsuits are expensive, they're costly, get you the kind of media attention you don't want. I just don't see how they put him in with general population or other inmates at all.
Obviously, Diddy wants to leave jail because it's not a desirable place to go. But as he's preparing for a future trial, because he has pleaded not guilty to these charges, does him being behind bars make things a bit more difficult? Because his defense can't just drop over to his house or he can't FaceTime them with more info. It kind of adds a layer there of difficulty.
Yeah, logistics are important. I mean, it's very hard to work with a client who's in jail to try to help them prepare for their own defense. You're always worried about people overhearing things. You've got to schedule it. The lawyer's got to get through the security mechanisms to get into the jail. You don't want to trust the telephone line, so you've got to be in person. Much easier to prepare your own defense. And there was a case you may recall, the Young Thug case in Georgia, where the lawyer actually got held in contempt and put in jail. And he said, I want to be in the cell. I want to be in there with my client so we can at least be preparing together. You know, there's something about being able to prepare. And why should the client, the innocent until proven guilty defendant, have to prepare on the state's terms? You know, if you're going to prepare a defense, you should be able to do it where it's best for you, where it's most comfortable for you. And that is a big hiccup. And I don't know that it's an appealable issue because you've got two competing claims. One is the right to a proper defense, but also you've got to make sure that the person doesn't escape justice. So, but certainly that's another argument.
Yo, that nigga sharp, ain't he? Oh, excuse me for saying that. Yo, is he sharp or what? Is Diddy sharp or what? And now he wearing a jumpsuit, yo. A jumpsuit. Just so you know, it ain't worth it.
Argument the lawyers are going to make, even if it's just a furlough, even if it's just some time out of jail for the ability to prepare his own defense. Um, that's maybe an option they're going to come up with. Maybe there's some hybrid compromise result for the new bail hearing.
You also mentioned phone calls and phone lines, which got me thinking because oftentimes in cases, we do hear in court some recorded jail phone calls, whether it's with the family members or a friend, someone, and there could be some sort of incriminating information that was revealed on these phone calls. Or we also hear about a cellmate or someone in jail who overheard or read a diary, things like that. So, do you think the prosecution is going to be keeping a close eye on Diddy while he's behind bars to see if there's anything that could help their case?
Absolutely. And people, as careful as they are, often let things slip. They might say, I can't really talk because I'm on a recorded line, but I want you to know, whatever he says is dangerous. And if I was his lawyer, I'd say, you don't talk on the phone, much less talk about your case or your situation. It's just dangerous, dangerous, dangerous to do that. Even and he should be able to talk privately to his counsel to be able to say, no, it might look like I did something wrong because I was in this place at this time. Well, if he doesn't testify, the prosecution would never know that. If they overhear that, if he has to say it through a phone line that could be recorded, it's putting a real, hardship on the defense team.
It's interesting to hear your side of the story too, because we've heard so much from the prosecution about all of the evidence they have against Diddy and not as much from the defense. But again, you bring up a good point. He is innocent until proven guilty. So right now he is an innocent man. But as far as the evidence that the prosecution does have, these charges that they're claiming they have a lot of evidence for, testimony from witnesses, do you think they have a strong case?
Sounds like they have a strong case, but whether you have 100 pounds of evidence or 1 ounce of evidence, he gets the same rights. He shouldn't get treated differently and left in jail because there's more evidence against him than there is to the next guy in the next cell. I mean, I'll tell you, good prosecutors aren't going to bring a case that they don't think they can win. When you have a celebrity, it's a double-edged sword, right? On one hand, everybody wants to be the one that prosecuted the guy that nobody could take down, and they did it, and they brought down the king. And maybe that's something for somebody's ego. You would think, hopefully, instead, the prosecution is thinking, not only do we have to be careful that we don't ever convict or prosecute an innocent person, if we prosecute this innocent person and we're wrong, there's going to be payback, and it's going to be bad, and we're going to be held accountable. There are a lot of times where prosecutors could say, I could flip a coin. I'm not sure we could convict or not, but even if we try this case, what's the harm? They shouldn't think like that. They should think we can win this beyond a reasonable doubt. And I'm hoping that these prosecutors are thinking, with the evidence we have, certainly we can prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. A jury could do anything. A jury could say that they don't believe us, or they don't want to put him in jail, or they don't want to find him guilty. But it sounds like they have enough from what they're saying to everybody. But again, we're Monday morning quarterbacking. We're looking from the outside. You really can't judge a case unless you've been in the courtroom, seen the evidence through the rules of evidence, and then make a decision. So I'm not going to comment on, do they have a good case? Do they have a bad case? I'm hoping they're doing their job and they're not bringing a case that they don't think they can win.
It's important to note that P. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him. And after his arrest, his attorney Mark Agnifilo released a statement reading in part, quote, Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children and working to uplift the Black community. He's an imperfect person, but is not criminal.
All right, so that's what it is. So you understand. All right, I just wanted to run that. I've been on here long enough. If you subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Like button is a must. Cash App is on the screen. Hit the icon. Make sure Save was created in 2020. And I'm out of here. All right?
Cheers, cheers. Toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back